And
All right, this should be a good one. So, this is about going broke in Kenya after 60 days. Let's see how this happened.
I'm going to tell you guys how I went broke in Nairobi, Kenya. I came out there with 5,000 USD, and my plan was to make that last. And I literally blew that money within 60 days. 60 days of my 90-day stay, I blew that money. That money was gone. And I had to dip into money that I personally didn't. And
All right, so a lot of stuff to unpack here. One thing to keep in mind is that if you've been a traveler, we've all been there. So you got to make that transition from being a vacationer to someone that is living there extendedly, and that's a whole process. I mean, this guy blew $5,000 in 60 days. I mean, I bet he wish he could even have half of that money back. But there's a couple steps that you can take to make sure that that doesn't happen. The first thing that I would say would be to separate your money, okay, and have some money that you're just keeping aside so that, and just in case of an emergency, in case you've miscalculated, the person that you're going to be towards the beginning of the trip and the person that you're going to be towards the end of the trip is going to be totally different. And what I mean by that is this: it's natural to go through a vacation mode. Think about this. It's almost like going on a diet. Okay, if you want to go on a diet, a good thing to do would be to kind of like for example, when you look at like those shows where like there's those TV shows where like they're losing a bunch of weight. Um, the first thing that they do is they have them go out and eat, stuff that they like. Try to get that out of your system, right? So it's just like traveling. Give yourself that vacation mode. You know what I mean? Enjoy yourself, kind of get it out of your system, um, and just enjoy that you made the decision of going, abroad where you like to go. Maybe make that last a week. After that, you gotta kind of tighten up your nuts and bolts here and get serious. Um, I would say one thing to look out for is your housing. See if there's a way that you can test out where you want to live long term. So instead of getting into like a 6 month lease or a year lease, it might even actually be cheaper to do an Airbnb for like a month. Now, mathematically, you may look at that and say, no, 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 it's cheaper not to go through Airbnb. But here's the reality. Sometimes when you initially choose to go to a place on vacation, you may be there a week or two, and there's some things that you may not notice being in a place such a short amount of time. And if you think you want to live in a particular area, it's good to test it out because I don't know how many times I've been to a place and I've had to switch. I'm not saying this necessarily happened in Kenya, but I've been to other countries where I switched Airbnbs 3 times. And it was either the initial thing, it was just flat out false advertising. And they'll make a place appear like it's in a certain neighborhood, but it's really like 15 or 20 minutes away. And then you get there, you're like, man, this area is not what you claimed it was. It could be like that Airbnb catfish situation. Another situation could be where it could be more noisier or more unsafe than you initially thought it would be. So basically, if you could test out your housing and not sign something super long of a lease, that right there would save you a lot of money because that's one of the most expensive things you can do is to sign multiple leases and have money tied up or just go through the waste on places that you didn't expect you are not going to finish where you live. Number two, you got to keep in mind the people around you. People around you switch up, man. Like if you got money and you're in vacation mode, they'll treat you one way. And then when your money runs out, man, it's like on to the next, on to the next. And then, there's a trap. A lot of countries that people go to, especially, YouTubers like me, and, we talk about countries, we talk about how cheap it is, right? Here's the reality. If you go to a particular country, it may be cheap, but if you're not a person that's used to budgeting, you may continuously, you're bound to go broke no matter how much stuff is. It's just a matter of when. And that's something that you learn from traveling. You learn that some of the problems, the environment is not really going to fix. It's you. Okay? That's something that that's a lesson learned through traveling. Yeah, so sometimes the problem's you. That's just how it is. So it's important to budget, to pay attention to your money, because I guarantee if you gave this person half of his money back, he would make decisions totally different. And that's why you want to separate funds, because you want to allow yourself to mature. I think when you first get there, you probably have like a casino mentality too. You probably think like, oh man, if I just start this business real quick, I'm good. I'm good. Like there's this pressure to say, hey, I got into this new environment and I made it. And you want that to happen instantly. And that's just a natural process that's most likely not going to occur. So that's why you want to slow down on some of the moves that you make. You may find yourself, depending on the country, catching taxis every single day. That may add up. You may end up, like for example, when I lived in Ethiopia, I was taking those taxis every day, and then it turned into like the minibus, right? And then that was a lot cheaper. I've been in countries in Asia, taxis every day, and then that turned into just getting a motorbike. And then the motorbike only costs, $4 or $5 a day to rent. So this is a process that will occur if you can get there. Now, if you're just stuck in vacation mode, you could burn through all your money and you'll never mature into that person that makes that transition. Yeah, but this is just something to note, right? And this is why I brought this video up. Number one, Kenya is one of my favorite places. It is more affordable than the US, but that does not mean that you don't have to budget. Okay? And slow down on your spending. Try to find a way to like manually restrict your spending initially, because you will change as a person. The question is, you just hope that happens before you run out of money. Okay? Let traveling take its course. When you do travel, you do change as a person. Your outlook changes on certain things. Your spending habit changes a certain way. What you eat changes. Okay? You will change when you travel, but you got to get there. and if you get too wild in the beginning, you could end up burning out your whole environment before this change takes place. Anyway, I'm going to stop things here. I'm not going to ramble on for too long. I'm Expat D. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get the channel to grow. And that's all I got for you today. All right. Peace. I'm out, and I'll see you in the next video.